All right, buckle up, everybody, because we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest college basketball showdowns this week. Michigan State taking on Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
It's a clash of titans with a top spot in the Big Ten hanging in the balance, and we're going to break it all down. Everything you need for that winning prediction. We've got articles stacked high, insights galore on both teams, their star players, and predictions.
Oh, yeah.
From the heavy hitters, the experts.
This matchup, it's really interesting. It's like a clash of styles. We've got Michigan State. They're known for that tough
Tom
Izzo coach defense going up against Purdue's offense, which is a high-octane machine, really, led by Matt Painter. It'll be like a chess match out there.
And the stakes, they couldn't be higher. Purdue, they're sitting pretty right at the top of the Big Ten, 11-2 in the conference.
Yeah.
But Michigan State is right there.
Right behind them.
Breathing down their necks, tied for second at 10-2.
That's right. And they're both nationally ranked, too. Purdue's a little bit ahead.
A little bit, yeah.
At number 7, Michigan State's number 11. A win here could shake things up big time for the NCAA tournament seeding.
Huge.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the history here. Purdue, they've been dominant in this rivalry. 9 out of the last 10 games against Michigan State.
Wow.
But there's a twist. Michigan State, they've covered the spread in 5 of their last 6 meetings. So is this the year the Spartans finally break through? Pull off the upset?
I mean, that is the million-dollar question, right? So let's dig in. Let's see if we can find some clues here first. We got to understand what makes Purdue's offense so good, so potent. It's not just about individual talent.
I mean, they have that too.
I mean, they do, but it's about the system. It's the ball movement, the ability to just knock down shot from
downtown,
from way out there.
Yeah.
And speaking of talent, Purdue, they have 2 players who are just lighting it up this season. Trey Kaufman-Renn and Braden Smith.
Trey's averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists.
Yeah.
Per game, shooting over 60% from the field.
That's amazing.
3 Big Ten Player of the Week awards already.
That's incredible.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
And
Braden Smith is no slouch either. He just earned
Big Ten Player of the Week.
Big Ten Player of the Week honors himself, averaging an insane, you just look at the stat line. 25.3 points, 9.7 assists, 5.3 rebounds, and 2 steals per game.
That is a stat sheet.
That's video game numbers.
That's video game numbers right there. So how do the Spartans plan on slowing down this offensive juggernaut? How do they plan on stopping that?
Well, on paper, their defense is one of the best in the country, statistically speaking. They're holding opponents to the lowest points per game in the Big Ten, which, that says a lot about their discipline, their ability to execute Coach Izzo's schemes on defense.
But holding opponents under their season average is one thing, right? Containing a duo like Kaufman-Renn and Smith.
Oh, yeah.
That's a whole different animal, right? Who are some of the Spartans that we should be watching for?
Keep an eye on Jaxon Kohler.
Sophomore center.
He is a rebounding machine, averaging 11 boards per game. And then there's Jeremy Fears Jr., freshman point guard. True floor general, this kid. He's got an impressive assist-to-turnover ratio, 2.80. Shows he can create for his teammates while taking care of the ball.
So it's like we got a classic battle here, right?
Yeah.
It's like the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object.
That's right.
I'm getting nervous just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It really is going to be a good one. And to make things even more interesting, the experts are kind of divided on who they think will win.
Oh, really?
Data Spry, for example, they're actually favoring Purdue to cover the spread, which is currently at plus 3.5.
Wait, hold on. Purdue is favored to cover even though Michigan State is the home favorite.
Right.
How does that work?
That is a great question, and that's where the nuances of sports betting really come into play. So you see, covering the spread doesn't necessarily mean winning the game outright. It means staying within a certain point margin.
Right.
So in this case, even though DataScribe is predicting a final score of Michigan State 75, Purdue 73, they believe Purdue will keep it close enough to cover that plus 3.5 point spread.
Oh, so they could still lose, but
exactly.
If they stay within 3.5,
right.
They cover
Yeah, and they're giving Purdue a 60% chance of covering, which is worth noting. It suggests that their model sees this as a very, very tight game.
Interesting. Okay, so DataScribe likes Purdue to cover. But
yeah.
But what about other experts? Are they all on board with DataScribe?
Well, not all of them. One expert, Shane Mickle, he's actually going in the opposite direction.
Okay.
He's leaning towards Michigan State minus 3.5.
Oh, wow. So he's got Michigan State winning.
Yeah, he's convinced that the Spartans' defense will be able to shut down Purdue's offense, especially with that home crowd behind them.
Yeah. Michigan State's defense is no joke. They're holding opponents to the lowest points per game in the entire Big Ten.
Yeah.
And we just talked about Purdue. They averaged 78.7 points a game.
Right? Something's got to give.
Something's got to give, right? So all this talk about spreads and predictions is making my head spin a little bit. What does it all mean for someone like me who's just trying to make a smart bet?
Yeah, well, here's where we can take all this information and distill it into a best bet for you.
Okay, I like that.
While it's tough to say definitively who will win outright, I think the over-under is the way to go in this game. The current line is set at 148.5 points.
The over-under. Okay, walk me through your reasoning here. Why the over-under?
Well, first of all, both teams have high-scoring offenses. We've already talked about Purdue's firepower.
Right.
And Michigan State has shown that they can put up points as well.
For sure.
Plus, there's a historical element to consider. Purdue has consistently beaten Michigan State in recent years.
Yeah, 9 of the last 10.
And this could be a revenge game for the Spartans.
So you're thinking that Michigan State might play with a little extra intensity?
Yeah.
Try to prove a point?
Exactly. They're going to be hungry for a win, and that could lead to a faster pace. More possessions, which usually translates to more points.
Oh, I hadn't even considered that psychological factor. It's like a whole other layer to the game.
Exactly. And if you look at Purdue's recent performances, their defense hasn't been as tight lately.
Okay.
Even in their recent loss to Michigan, they gave up 75 points.
Oh, wow.
And before that, they put up 84 points in a loss against Wisconsin.
So they're either winning big or losing in a shootout.
Exactly. And on the road, their defense tends to be even more vulnerable.
Okay.
Combine that with Michigan State's desire to make a statement, and I think the over is a solid bet.
Okay, I'm starting to see the logic here. But before we make any final decisions, are there any other factors we haven't considered that might influence the point total?
Well, there's one really intriguing detail I think that adds another layer of confidence to our over bet. Remember how Data Scribe predicted a final score of Michigan State 75, Purdue 73?
Yeah, a super tight game.
A super tight game. Well, if you add up those predicted scores, you get 148 points.
Wow.
Which is right on the edge of that 148.5 over-under line.
That's wild. So even their super sophisticated prediction model is basically saying this game could go either way in terms of the over-under?
Yeah, it is. Now, of course, models aren't perfect, and real games rarely end up exactly as predicted. But it does reinforce our thinking that this game has the potential to be a high-scoring affair.
Okay, I'm officially on board with the over. We got the high-powered offenses, the potential for a revenge game from Michigan State, Purdue's shaky road defense, and even a sophisticated prediction model hinting at a high score.
It's all pointing in that direction. Of course, you should always do your own research and consider all the factors while placing any bets.
Always.
But based on our analysis, the over looks like a strong play in this game.
So to sum up for this highly anticipated Michigan State versus Purdue matchup, our best bet for you is to take the over on the total points. You heard it here first.
Well, I wouldn't say that plenty of other analysts are likely recommending them over as well, but we've certainly done our due diligence and presented a compelling case for why the over is a smart bet in this game.
Fair enough, but there's always more to the story than just the numbers, right?
Absolutely. This game has implications that go far beyond just one win or loss. It's about bragging rights, momentum, and potentially even seeding in the NCAA tournament.
So for you, what's the biggest storyline to watch in this game?
For me, it's all about the coaching matchup.
Ooh.
You've got Tom Izzo, a Hall of Famer known for his fiery personality and his ability to get the most out of his players, going up against Matt Painter, a brilliant offensive mind who has built Purdue into a national powerhouse. It's a clash of styles and personalities that'll be fascinating to watch unfold.
I love that you brought up the coaching matchup. It's something that often gets overlooked in pregame analysis, but it can have a huge impact on the flow of the game and the strategies employed by each team.
Oh, absolutely. Izzo is known for his tough, defensive-minded approach.
Yeah.
While Painter is all about offensive efficiency and spacing, it's going to be a chess match between two of the best coaches in the country.
And speaking of coaching, remember how we were talking about Purdue's recent defensive struggles?
Yeah, their defense hasn't been as sharp lately, especially on the road.
Well, I'm curious to see how Matt Painter adjusts his defensive game plan against a Michigan State team that's known for their physicality and their ability to force turnovers.
That's a great point. Painter's a master strategist.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll have some wrinkles up his sleeve to try and slow down the Spartans, but whether those adjustments will be enough to contain a team that's hungry for revenge and playing at home remains to be seen.
It's going to be a battle, that's for sure. And to add another layer of intrigue, this game could also have major implications for the Big Ten title race.
Absolutely. A win for Michigan State would put them in a tie for first place. With Purdue, a win for Purdue would give them a 2-game lead and put them in the driver's seat for the regular season title.
So the stakes are high, the talent is there, and the storylines are compelling. I don't know about you, but I'm already glued to my seat. It feels like we've just scratched the surface here with all the factors in this game. We've talked about the spread, the over-under, offensive matchups, defensive matchups, even coaching styles. But It feels like there's always something more to uncover when you've got a rivalry like this.
Absolutely. And one of the things that makes this rivalry so compelling is the historical context. You see, Purdue has kind of had Michigan State's number for a while now. They've won 9 out of the last 10 meetings.
Yeah.
And that's got to be weighing on the Spartans.
So there's an element of revenge here for Michigan State.
I think it's definitely a factor. Michigan State, they're a proud program. Got a winning tradition.
Tom Izzo.
They're not going to just roll over and let Purdue walk all over them, especially not on their home court.
Yeah, and think about it from Purdue's side.
Right.
They've been the ones dominating, right, for years.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a little pressure on them to maintain that?
I think that's a valid point. There's a psychological element to any rivalry, and the longer one team dominate, the more the other team wants to break through. So yeah, I think Purdue might be feeling a little bit of pressure, especially with Michigan State playing at home and looking for that revenge.
So we've got clash of styles, this historical rivalry, and now this added layer of psychological intrigue. It's like a Shakespearean drama, but on a basketball court.
I love that analogy, and it just goes to show that sports are about so much more than just the numbers, right? The stats. It's about the stories, the emotions, the human drama when two fierce competitors collide.
Well said. So after all our analysis, all our deep dive into the data and the trends and all these psychological factors at play, where do we land? What's the final takeaway for our listener who's trying to, make that smart bet?
Well, I think we've made a really strong case for the over in this game. All signs point to a high-scoring affair. We've got the potent offenses of both teams. We've got Purdue's recent struggles on defense, the potential for a fast-paced, emotional game from Michigan State.
Right.
And even just the historical context of this rivalry, it all adds up.
I agree. The over seems like the most logical bet here. Data-driven bet. Who knows? Maybe we'll even see some fireworks. A last-second buzzer beater to really push that point total over the edge.
That would be quite a finish. But regardless of the final score, I think we can all agree that this is going to be a must-watch game.
Oh, yeah.
A clash of titans could have huge implications for the Big Ten title race and even beyond.
Absolutely. So to our listener, we say buckle up, get ready for a wild ride, and may the best bet win.
And remember, this is just our analysis based on the information we have. Always do your own research, consider all the angles, and most importantly, enjoy the game.
That's it for this deep dive into the Michigan State versus Purdue matchup. Hope you found our analysis insightful and, hey, maybe even a little entertaining.
Yeah, we had some fun.
We'll be back next time with another deep dive, breaking down the biggest stories, helping you make sense of the sports world. Until then, happy betting, and may your predictions always be on point.
See ya.